Hi everyone, today I'm talking to Lunden Souza and I'm very happy that you took the time for the talk.
Of course. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Lunden. So you're in the States right now, but actually you're living in Austria.
Yes, exactly. So I'm visiting my family here in California for the holidays. Originally from California, but I've lived the last 5 years in Austria, good old Austria.
So how did this happen? How did you actually end up in Austria then?
Oh, great question. So I worked and lived in California my whole entire life. Up until I was around 22 years old. So I started working from California with an Austrian based company called Runtastic. And I initially started with them as what I still am now, the Runtastic fitness coach. But what that looked like back then was me recording videos for YouTube, creating blog content from California, and sending it over to the headquarters in Austria. And so I did that I started in 2012 and right 2012, yes. And I started with them just working from California, creating content, being kind of their in-house fitness expert from afar. And then a year and a half later, I just decided that I wanted the opportunity to live abroad. I had always hoped and prayed for a position that would allow me to travel the world, and being that Austria is right in the middle of Europe, I just thought it would be so amazing to live there. And not only for me personally, but for me as part of the team with the Runtastic team in Austria. I just figured it would be a great opportunity for us to all be together and work together instead of kind of going back and forth between the States and Europe with the time difference, and just not having like the physicalness of being together in a team and working together. And so, yeah, in 2013, I decided that I wanted to move to Austria, and I talked with the CEO of Runtastic. I let him know, like, hey, I know I'm doing this kind of fitness part for you, but there are a lot of other things that I'm good at that I would be able to help the company with. So would it be okay if you guys helped me, move to Austria and get a working visa and, try it out and see how living and working and being in Austria is? And yeah, luckily I was blessed and fortunate enough for them to say yes, that it was no problem. They'd find a position that worked for me, kind of a mixture of fitness, native English speaker, so doing a lot of English editing and content creation there as well. But yeah, so I started, from California. Then I just kind of asked, and I thought, being in Austria would be really fun and cool. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot I haven't seen and haven't experienced. And I just wanted a chance to kind of take a leap there. And yeah, 5 years later, so actually this coming March of 2019 will be 5 years that I've lived in Austria. And yeah, to make a long story short, that's just kind of how it was. I started creating content, fitness stuff in California, wanted and longed for something more personally and professionally. And then yeah, had the opportunity to come to Austria, and everyone said, give it at least a year, which I totally agree with. It was a very challenging first year with being in a new country, new language, just new everything. But after a year, I really felt like I fit right in and I found my way. And so, yeah, now 5 years later, I'm super happy there. I do enjoy coming back to California, visiting my family, but I really, really love being in Europe, and I think that's where I will be for the foreseeable future.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. And so you have been in the fitness industry for more than 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
How did it change the last 10 years?
Oh, so much. So much has changed in a good way, in a great way, actually. So yeah, I started in the fitness industry when I was 17. So I started college, and I just got really into running and to working out as a means for myself to take a break from studying, take a break from, the intensity of university and being in college. And I fell in love with it. I absolutely loved it. So starting when I was, about 17, 18, I did my certification in personal training, started training my classmates, colleagues, neighbors, whoever wanted to work out with me. And I just really, really fell in love with it. And so, but back then I would say I had a more, you just learn so much along the way. In the beginning, it was really like, yeah, eat healthy and exercise. Okay, that was great. And then from there, learning a lot more about hormones and metabolism and things like that. I think I started, for lack of better terms, in my fitness career, kind of in that bro science world, a lot of supplements, a lot of hardcore training, and more focused on kind of like that bikini competitor. I never did any competitions, but more in that direction, in terms of, like science and lifestyle and mentality. And then from there, really transitioning in my own personal way, but also with my clients to really, to realize that everybody is different and unique, and there's not one size fits all approach. And now, there's every single diet under the sun, every single training methodology under the sun. I love to explore all of them. I'm no longer the person that says like, this is the way, and you need to be in the gym this amount of days, and you need to be lifting weights and doing this. It's really transformed for me, personally and professionally, to be kind of like a dance and something really fun and exciting to get to know yourself a little bit better. I'm a firm believer now that working out is not just like something for the physical body, but also for emotional feelings, anything that's going on in the brain. I really feel like you're not only strengthening your muscle, but you're strengthening your soul and your mind and everything all together. And I'd say the biggest wave of transition really is like finding, not everybody is in the fitness industry. Not everybody is a personal trainer or a health coach or something like this, even though a lot of my clients and people I work with kind of find themselves in that space. But everybody is just living and doing their thing, and and they're executing their purpose, hopefully in the best way that they know how. And working out and eating healthy is a huge component of no matter what anybody, no matter what anybody's life goals are, or professional goals, personal goals, relationship goals, or whatever. And so I think that's really how it's changed a lot for me and for the people that I've worked with, is that we're not just finding the particular training plan, but we're really like talking and communicating. What do you need? What do you feel like is missing? How can we use exercise and healthy eating in particular to help you reach your goals, to help you feel your best, to help you push those limits, break those barriers. And so now I love exploring all different types of training methodologies and kind of diet and eating habits for myself, but just also in general, so that I could provide the best advice and the best recommendations for the people that I work with. Not everyone functions so perfectly on paleo and being in the gym 5 days a week. For some people it's completely and totally different. So I went from really being narrow focused and thinking like this is the way, to really being open and excited and curious about the fact that there are a lot of different pathways. And my purpose now is to work with those people to kind of find their path, and like, okay, there's your path. Okay, go ahead. You can do this. Instead of getting something like a cookie cutter, rolling out the dough and being like, okay, this is exactly how it has to be. It's not really like that for me anymore. And that's made the journey more fun, I would say, from a professional standpoint too, has more longevity, to work with people through the changes of their lives and what they need for that particular moment or that particular phase in their life. And I think at least the people that I surround myself with and follow and continue to learn from and grow are going in that direction as well. So you won't find me really, there's a certain things that I truly believe in. I think you have to take a stand for certain things. And I know that there are, certain training methodologies and certain ways of eating that really can help a lot of people, but mostly just being the partner in the dance with the client and with the person who's looking to change has been the most fun. Not so much of a dictator and this is how you have to do it, but like, let's figure it out together and see what works. And it's been really fun, really, really fun.
Yeah. Why do you think is so much mindset stuff connected actually to working out? Because this is very close. I'm not in the industry, but I see it a lot with people, that this is really linked.
Yeah, so I think it goes both ways, where the working out impacts the mindset and the mindset impacts the workout ethic, or, the staying on top of your training goals in general. But from a workout standpoint, when you break through, I've seen so many people do this time and time and again, when you break through a really tough training week or a tough training session, or you push yourself, to train for that half marathon or that full marathon or even that 5K or anything, it transcends into other areas of your life. You're like, okay, I kicked that workout in the butt. I trained for the last, 12 to 14 weeks on that half marathon. I lost, that weight that I wanted to lose. It transcends into other areas of the life, and in communication and relationships, and asking for that raise at a job. There's so many different ways that having a tough workout and pushing your limits physically can help you push your limits in other areas of your life. And then with that being said, I feel like you can't, from the work perspective, you know, we all go through phases where, and I was too, after transitioning out of, so I was working for Runtastic as an employee in their company early this year, and I left in May to work with them as a freelancer and working with them on a case-by-case basis so I could continue to fulfill my purpose, but also give my gifts where they're fit into that company. And there's times when you go through phases professionally and in relationships and change and things like that, where you kind of like, there's a lot of thoughts running through your mind. You're questioning a lot, you know, it's new. You feel like you're kind of starting over. There's just a lot of kind of turmoil, good or not to say good or bad, but just like change and things happening. And I would say without workouts, I can't imagine where I would be mentally. So when you're having a tough day or a tough month or a tough week or a tough transition, working out and, you know, getting your sweat on, moving that lymph, like doing all of the things to get your body moving and sweating and working helps so much with the mental stress and the emotional stress that you might have from, you know, from something in your work or your relationship. So it's kind of like, you know, the balancing act here of getting enough in a workout where it's impactful into your other lives and not like taking over. Some people, professional athletes, ultras, I'm not talking about those kind of people where like working out is their life, but a way to incorporate training, working out, breakthroughs in that area with training and breakthroughs in your personal and professional life. They really work hand in hand. I've never, ever seen any clients that I've worked with or any like successful mentor people that I've followed that are really successful in their business that don't have some sort of like physical training component to their daily routine, their weekly routine, their lifestyle. And yeah, I think it really goes hand in hand for sure. It helps so much on both ends.
Mm-hmm. So you think that's why it's so connected, and that's why you see it more from a holistic approach? Like, yes. It's not isolated. Training and working out is not isolated to living or a certain lifestyle you have. Is this right or correct?
Yes, totally, 100%. And I think when you look at it as a more holistic approach, or when people take the time to look at their life and treat it as a more holistic approach, like how does working out fit in with my family, with my life, with my job, with healthy eating, all of these things, it's quite liberating because you get to kind of create your own environment, your own vessel, your own space where all of that stuff kind of fits in. It's like, I don't know, I refer to food, and I've never done it like this before, but I just think in my head, it's like if you give someone all the ingredients to make like a smoothie bowl or muesli or something like this, everyone might choose some of the same ingredients, some more, some less. It will look different, but it has all the ingredients and all the pieces of the puzzle. And then in the end, you're like, okay, this is mine. I created this. And most likely if you created it yourself, hopefully you like it more. It tastes good to you, feels good for you. And yeah, treating it as a more holistic approach has been so liberating for me and for others, because so many people want to hire a trainer or somebody in my industry and say like, okay, I want you to tell me exactly what to do. I want you to lay it out all for me. And some people can follow that, and that's really, it works for them, but usually just for a certain amount of time. If you don't learn how that plan was made for you, or learn how to like take that beyond, let's say that 4 weeks, that 8 weeks, that 16 weeks, whatever, the chances of you sticking to it for life, or fitness for life, as I like to say, is pretty low. So I love that holistic approach because it helps me as a trainer teach someone how to look at it from holistically and say, okay, let's add a little bit of this. And what does this look and feel like for you? And then also, is liberating for them because they have the tools moving forward. You know, they have the tools to, you know, in the next phase of their life, in the next chapter, they kind of know, okay, I have all the tools. I might need to like break things down a little bit and rebuild. And maybe I just used a little bit of this last time, but maybe I need a lot of bit of that this time. That holistic approach is just what continues the dance and continues the ebb and flow throughout the different phases of people's life. Because what worked for me, you know, when I was 17 to my mid 20s is very different than what's worked for me over the last, you know, my late 20s to 30s. And it will definitely change in my 30s and in my 40s of what that looks and feels like and what's most fulfilling for me. So I know that will change for a lot of people. And I think we really have to think about that holistic approach, mind, body, soul, spirit, everything all together to, execute our best lives and to execute our purpose and to feel most fulfilled. Mm-hmm. Less so by doing more, but just kind of like finding the puzzle pieces and putting them together.
Yeah. And when you're working with people, what do you emphasize on? Like, do you start always from the physical standpoint, or do you start from maybe they have a mental blockage or something like this, or a belief that's very unhealthy for them? How do you approach this?
Good question. So for everybody, it's a little bit different. I try to meet the people where they are. But generally, what I like to do in the beginning with anybody is just have them audit themselves, from how much they're working out per day, to what they're eating, to how much time they're spending just with themselves. Like, are they doing meditation? Are they going for walks? Like, the workout standpoint, auditing that, the food standpoint, auditing that, and then like the giving back to self and then giving back to others. Like, how much are they doing? And usually it's like, I've been doing all the workouts in the world and I've been eating like nothing, but I've spent no time on myself and no time giving back to others, and kind of finding out how to have that balance. Those are the 4 things that are really, really important to me. So it's not just like going out and getting in your workout and like making sure you have your superfood smoothie afterwards, but like, what have you done for yourself to kind of take time and quiet down? Life, work, family, everything can be super stressful, and we can't give our best selves unless we're giving back. And then also, I'm a firm believer, and I'm a huge practicer in giving back to other people, donating to charities, donating your time, giving back where you see fit, where your goals or your gifts kind of fit. And so for everybody, it's a little bit different. I try to audit those 4 areas of their lives. And generally it starts, it depends on what level they are, but generally it starts with making tweaks in the nutrition and kind of movement, which is just simply like getting more steps. I look at what they're eating and just take little bites, if you will. Like, maybe you should replace this with this. I try not to do a complete drastic like overhaul on everybody right away, because it doesn't make sense. If you're changing everything, that's too much. It's good just to change little pieces here and there. I do spend a lot of time in communication with my clients. So it's very easy, or it's gotten very easy for me to identify some of those limiting beliefs or some of those stories that people tell themselves, like, I always fail at this, or I never have time, or all of those things. And I try to catch them when they're doing it themselves, like, hey, I've noticed that you said this X amount of times, or every time we do this, you go in this direction, or your mood kind of takes a shift here. Why? And kind of figuring that out too. And that just takes time. It's like with an onion, you just kind of have to peel the layers back bit by bit, a little bit more there. But usually I try to audit like those 4 areas. And if they're killing it in the workout and the nutrition space, but something is missing, then for me, that's kind of like the fun part, because I'm like, okay, I can tell you what workouts to do. I can tell you what foods to eat. You're going to do that. That's going to make a great impact. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Like, how much time are you taking for yourself? Are you journaling? Are you taking time for meditation? Are you, like, feeling the feels and not numbing them and pushing them away and pushing them down, and taking time for them to honor themselves, honor their accomplishments, honor their gifts that they're bringing, kind of how to fire them up a little bit more perhaps. But yeah, that's kind of the way that I go about it with the people that I'm working with. And yeah, it seems to work pretty well. And I think people like those aha moments, or when people kind of call them out a little bit in terms of the way they've been talking to themselves and things like that. And the cool thing is that most people kind of know it, but they kind of hold on to it a little bit. I don't have a stuffed animal, but like a little teddy. It's like the thing that they hold on to, it's like, don't take my blankie away, or don't take my teddy bear away, and you get to kind of get in touch with that person's like inner child, or like maybe ways of coping with certain things that they've taken from childhood now to adulthood, and kind of like poke at that a little bit. That's something that we definitely do a lot as well. So yeah, in all 4 of those areas, it just kind of, it depends on where they are and where I kind of assess that they are and where they feel like they are. And I meet them where they are, but I also want to like help take them to the edge. I can't make them jump, but I want to help take them to that point where they can make that decision, because I've done it in the past too, where like, you as a trainer, like, okay, someone comes in and they want to lose weight and they want to have more energy and they want to feel good, and you write down everything on paper and you give it to them on a silver platter and say like, hey, this is how you do it. And then it like doesn't work for them, because the way that they are used to like sticking to things or not sticking to things, or the way that they're used to getting started or moving forward, it just like doesn't work this way. And then it reinforces their belief that, they're a failure and they can't do anything. And then as a trainer, you're kind of like, am I bad? Did I make a bad plan, or did I make a bad, was the recipe not good, Yeah. So I like that so much better, to work hand in hand in kind of that dancing way, like I've alluded to a lot with the people. So that way they feel like they're contributing, I'm contributing, and we're it's going both ways and not just like, you do this. But a lot of emotional work is stuck in there for sure. We talk to ourselves all day long, you know, we're like, the most conversation that we have with anybody is ourselves, and whether it's silently or if you're like me when you're home alone, it sounds like there's somebody else in the room because I'm always talking to myself and just trying to like sort things out. Getting to that self-talk is super, super important. Very important.
Or you're talking to your headphones, right?
Yes, exactly. So I you know this because I post this on social media, but I go for walks and I try not to, sometimes I'll listen to a podcast or some music when I'm walking. When I'm running, it's different, but when I'm walking, but sometimes I like to just put the headphones in so that people think, oh, she's on the phone. And then I just like, I'm talking to myself, talking through things, practicing, you know, how I would approach maybe a client or just a situation or just anything, just some blah, blah. But I think, yeah, like we underestimate the amount of time that we really spend talking to ourselves and also the impact that has. And so I would say once getting past, you know, the fitness and nutrition standpoint, a lot of people can stick to those new habits, but when we've been talking to ourselves for, in my case, like 30 years, it's hard to, not hard, but a challenge. And it's fun to switch that and to catch yourself and to change it. Yeah. Like stop at the stop sign and make a turn instead of just cruising on cruise control.
Yeah. And basically you always took leaps of faith in your life. I think I can't say always, but I think you did it quite often. Also with coming to Austria, and in general, I think you're quite a brave person. So how do you see that for yourself, or how do you see that for other people if they want to get out of their comfort zone and just really get things going in their life?
Yeah, taking leaps has been a huge part of my life. So I started after college. I got a job working for. Let me shut this door really fast. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, so after college, when all of my friends were maybe struggling to get jobs or weren't sure, like, what am I going to do as my first job? So I got my degree in psychology, but then, like I said, I was doing fitness training simultaneously. And as soon as I graduated from college, I went on like a little mini trip with a friend of mine to Nashville, Tennessee. And I came back and I had a job offer from a man who was running his own kind of on-site personal training business and wanted to be a trainer for him. So I did that for a little while. And it was until the point where I realized, okay, this is basic math here. Like, I know what the clients are paying. I know what I'm making. And I think I could do this on my own. And I remember, and this is kind of very similar to how I felt every time. And this is just, as I'm talking to you now, I've never explained it this way, but I feel like I go into like a really gray space where like, it's just like dark and I don't feel like that vibrant light coming out of me when I kind of know, okay, something needs to change here because I don't like this. Like, it feels like there's like a dark cloud over me and I'm not, you know, there's no sunshine, like really. And so then from there, I told him, I said, hey, you know, I think I want to do this on my own. I don't want to work for you anymore. I don't see that the benefit is there. I think I could, you know, do better financially. And will be a great way for me to grow my business. Needless to say, he wasn't very happy with me. It was kind of a messy split, but I was nervous. And at that time, I didn't know, like, I didn't have any clients of my own. They were clients that I had gotten through him. I'd never run a business on my own before. I never did like marketing for my own business to try to like get clients. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just knew, okay, I want to do it. And I'm just going to go for it. So I did that there. And then from there, I was working on my own. I very easily built up my business just through referrals and people. And I was doing in-home personal training. And I did that for a while. And then, yeah, from there, it was the time to move to Austria. So I kind of made a big leap there, a bit more support on that end with my clients. A lot of them were in like their early to mid, late 30s, 40s, had families, husbands, children. And they said, please, we'll miss you, but go for it because this is a great opportunity. And if we could, you know, take the time to do a job abroad, you know, we didn't have kids or family, we would do it too. So you should totally go for it. So that was kind of a jump in my life where it's like everything was going well. I had a great clientele. I was really busy. I lived on the beach in California. I trained clients, you know, on the waves, on the sunset in their beautiful homes in Orange County. Like, it was really awesome. There was no reason that it was like bad. It was just kind of like, I was in that space again where I'm like, I need to do something different. I'm feeling like a little bit too comfortable. The days are kind of, flowing. I want a little bit more of a challenge. So that's when I moved to Austria. And then, the first year was super hard. Talk about fish out of water. I didn't know, I taught myself like basic foods and muscle groups so that I could like somehow like know the body, and then also so I could go grocery shopping on my own, because there was a lot of things at the beginning that I just could not do on my own. I couldn't go to the bank. I couldn't go to the post. Like there were so many errands where I felt like I always needed like a chaperone to help me and like translate and teach me, and being the independent person that I am still recovering in the way of asking people for help. I still kind of struggle with that to this day. That was hard for me to have to ask for help, to be in a new position. I had never worked in an office before. So working in Runtastic was my first time being in an office. And that was a huge challenge for me to be, 8, 9, sometimes 10 hours a day in an office when I'd been used to, training people outside and on the go and whatever. So that was a huge shift and huge challenge. And then from there, leaving Runtastic as, let's say, an employee, and then going off again to do my own thing, which is my most recent, let's say, leap that happened. We had talked about it for like 5 or 6 months, but in May of this year of 2018 is when I took a step there. And what I've learned is like, there's never going to be the perfect conditions for you to take this leap. Right. But if it's not now, when? Because no day is guaranteed this could be the last conversation I'm having with you. This could be my last day here on this earth. I don't know, but what I've realized each time taking this jump is like, you learn so much, not even about the direction that you're jumping in. So now I'm learning a lot about, being an entrepreneur now in 2018, and automation of emails and like, programming and like online coaching and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you learn like to get updated with, the business stuff, but you learn so much about yourself. And it's so weird or interesting because there's certain parts of your personality that come out when you're super frustrated and super uncomfortable. So I was saying that, you learn so much when you're kind of that fish out of water, being uncomfortable about yourself and the way that you deal with different situations that might not arise otherwise. And a part of me has become somehow, I don't want to say addicted, but kind of excited and, maybe a little bit addicted or drawn to that. So, I've often, jumped from I wouldn't say one thing to another, but like one leap to the next, because I'm so excited to know that like, okay, it's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to have to learn a lot of new things, teach myself a lot of stuff, maybe meet a lot of new people that can help me with different things. But when we just stay doing what we've always done, I feel like the way you do anything is the way you do everything, So if you're really just like, stuck in a spot, going through the motions, you do that in every aspect of your life. You go through the motions at home, in your personal life, in your job, in your workouts, in your nutrition. If you half-ass it, you're kind of half-assing everything. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like if you can make those leaps, whether it's taking that leap in your relationship or taking that leap like I did in my job, or like where you're living or location, it kind of brings, like I talked about those 4 different levels, they kind of are all challenged in one, in one time. So it's not like just because you're taking a leap in your job that the rest of your life is just not going to be affected. It totally is. Yeah. And so I believe taking those leaps, and this doesn't have to be like people watching or listening, like you don't have to pick up all your stuff and move to a different country. You don't have to like quit your job and start something completely new. But those have been the ways that I have found that put me out of my comfort zone. And for everybody, it's different. Some people it's like public speaking. Some people it's just like, I don't know, being at an event and, networking with new people in their space. For some people, it's like having that tough conversation with the partner or with their job, like their boss or something about getting a raise. So whatever makes everybody uncomfortable is a little bit different. And so I think it's really important to make yourself uncomfortable consciously, like consciously do things that you don't want to do that make you feel, because then when it's really time to make those leaps and you really like, I don't want to say you don't have a choice. We always have a choice, but when it's like, okay, it's go time, at least you have enough little jumps and leaps kind of like in your back pocket saying like, oh, we did it before, you can do it again. Yeah. I find that's really, really, really important. And so, you take new leaps, take on new challenges, and it helps. Yeah, it helps so much. And right now I'm really like in the middle of it at the moment. I just took a big leap. I'm trying to figure out a lot of new things. It's been a challenge kind of working from home. It's also been a challenge working from home in Austria because the sun doesn't come up to like 8 something and it goes down at 4. And like, then after 4 o'clock, I feel like it's bedtime, like there's just so like little things like that's it's not a big deal, but for me it is. And it's kind of like how I feel it's kind of affected the way that I've worked. I'm kind of trying to figure out, okay, where is the best place for me to work? Is it from home? Do I need to have maybe a small office space? Where can I be my most creative? So you're kind of like forced to look around you, which you're not normally forced to when you just have that like tunnel vision. You're kind of going through the motions, where I go for this. But when you're in that uncomfortable spot, it really forces you to kind of like, okay, this is like my new surrounding. Like, how do I make this work? Take a little bit what I learned last time, a little bit of like new London to the mix, a little bit of like, kind of different things like that. And so I think, yeah, for people getting out of their comfort zone, whatever that looks like for them is crucial, is absolutely crucial. Because you don't get to know yourself enough if you just stay the way that you've always been, Yeah. And so taking those leaps has been a really powerful learning tool, growing tool. And sometimes I'm super scared and nervous. Right now I'm kind of in the middle. Like I feel confident and I have faith of what the direction I'm going, but another thing too is like what I said, when you're forced to look around, it's like when things are uncertain and uncomfortable, it forces you to be hyper present, because when you don't know what tomorrow might bring, or like what this month might look like financially, or how your business is going to pan out, or how this project that you've been working on is going to like be, how it's going to be accepted or not, or whatever, by the outside world or the people that you're putting this content out to, it forces you to be hyper present. Like you need to be here today and do the best that you can today. Because there are no motions to go through, because that comfort layer is gone. So it's kind of like, okay, what do I do? I'm not sure. It's like the guy on Anchorman when he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. You're just kind of like, okay, now I need to like figure out new skills and new habits and new things to kind of, adapt. We're really great at adapting, we humans, but sometimes we are so adapted to our environment that we just like want to stay there. And so I love, getting out of my comfort zone for myself and for my clients, just so that they can really see how badass they are. Like, you were so scared, but like, look you did it. You're here. Like, hello, celebrate, So I think that being out of the comfort zone is great for that.
Yeah, if you're comfortable talking about it, actually, how important is faith if you say leap of faith? How does this play out for you, or what role does this play in your life?
Yeah, no, faith is huge. Faith has been a huge thing my whole life. I grew up as a Christian. I still am. I think it's so important for people to have that connection to their source, or to their higher power, to the universe, whatever they might call it. For me, I call it God, and I call it Jesus. And I have, faith in this plan. I don't believe I don't believe I was just like dropped from the sky and like, okay, do your best. I really believe that I'm here for a particular purpose. And I believe that the more faith that you have, the more of those steps that you have, the more aligned you get with like, okay, this is why I'm here. And like, this is what I need to do, more or less. Of course, there can be like twists and turns and things that can pop their heads in there like that, for sure. But having faith in what's not seen is huge. Is very, very powerful. Speaking into existence what is not yet seen or hasn't been accomplished has been huge for me as well. I have a quote on the background of my phone, which used to hang up in my apartment before I got rid of my apartment, but it says, God never gives you a dream that matches your budget. He's not checking your bank account, he's checking your faith. And I have that on the background of my phone here. But you don't really get to choose your purpose. You can find it and you can co-create it and you can get excited about it, but I don't believe that you're going to get like this amazing like right away, if you will, this amazing like toolkit where it's like, okay, this is everything you need to execute your purpose. Like, I believe you get these by stepping out in faith. Every time you step out in faith, you get another little tool or a little nugget or something to add to your toolbox and your arsenal of things to help you navigate your way through life, but also not just navigate, but like to be able to leave like your footprint, your stamp, like the change that you want to make into this world. And so for me, faith is huge. So I start my morning every morning with prayer and meditation. I write a thank you letter to God, and just for all of my blessings and all of the things that I want to come, that I believe will come. And that's very, very important. I don't believe that we as humans can do it on our own without connection to source and to a higher power, and also within community of people who believe those same things as well, whether it's the same God or source or whatever that looks like. I believe you have to surround yourself with the people that believe that creating the not yet seen or the somewhat impossible is possible. And so that is really, really important for me. And there's times where I'm just like, I don't know how this is going to work, but it's going to work because I believe and I have faith in that it will. And sometimes it turns out a little bit slightly different than what I maybe have imagined or whatever, but I've not been failed yet. So every time there's just, I've never been, and there's that saying too, where it's like, if you fall, I'll be there for you. And it's the floor. So it's like, no matter what, we'll always have some ground that we can lay on and relax on when things don't go well. And that doesn't mean that everything always turns out perfect and there's no failures and there's no rock bottoms and there's no hard times or anything like that. But I just believe that, wherever we are at this moment is exactly where we're supposed to be, as long as we're taking action and moving, not just, okay, I'm supposed to be here in my bed doing nothing, being lazy. Okay, no. But every step that we take going in that direction of, what our purpose is and what our big goals and the things like that, that we have, the more you realize like, okay, it's not that scary. It's not that big of a deal. And there are a lot of people out there who have gone through things, 500 times worse in a place where they're living that's, maybe a lot worse than where we are, in Austria and in California, places that, there's just always people who are going through it and killing it just as much as, you say you want to or whatever. And so finding inspiration through faith and connecting with God, but also other people who have a strong sense of spirituality and faith is really important as well. And then also seeing like, humans and people are so tough and so resilient and have so much, power that needs to be lit up that that faith brings for sure. I try, in addition, not to be around the people who are saying that you can't or that things aren't possible or who are always there to kind of like poke at you when things don't go well. And having that strong sense of faith and just knowing that if it's not here now doesn't mean that it's not going to be ever. And if you believe it and you can speak it, it can exist. And so that's really, really important for me too. And I believe it has to be important for anyone, for everyone. If you really, want to get to that point, it doesn't matter what your goal is. You could want to be like the best high performing stay-at-home mom on the planet. And that's just as important as the person who wants to be, or I should put it at the same level, who wants to be, the CEO of the Fortune 500 company. It's like whatever you want and whatever your purpose is on the planet is just as important as everybody else's. And you just have to, own your purpose and own your journey and know that every day you're supposed to be where you are. And if you have faith that things will turn out the way that you can dream and imagine them, you should, because it can be that way.
Yeah. And for yourself, what's your goal in this world, or what do you want to bring into manifestation?
Yeah, my main goal every time that I'm around anybody, whether it's an online call or an in-person talk, whatever, I just want them to feel heard and connected with and loved. So I really don't want them to feel like I'm here, but I'm somewhere else, in my brain. And that the possibility of them doing whatever they want is completely 100% possible. And so I always want them to, connect with me and feel like, they are loved, they are heard, their dreams are completely possible. And the main thing that I want to do is I just want to help as many men and women out there, get moving, get healthy, get excited about living, get excited about fulfilling their dreams. And because I know there is a lot of people, they don't have that like excitement or that fire when they wake up, and whatever that is that kind of ignites that. That's my main purpose. I want to help people find whatever it is that they want to light on fire. And like I said, that could be anything. That could be whatever, it could be opening up your first business. It could be getting your first house. It could be, whatever, but showing them the role that like having a good solid plan and good habits in place when it comes to fitness and nutrition and mindset can really take you to any of those places. And so for me, my main area of focus is really like, fitness and nutrition and non-toxic living and things like that. So I bring, the workouts and the nutrition and some of the essential oil stuff to help detoxify the home and the body and things like that. But I just want everyone to feel like they're loved and heard, and that whatever their thing is that they want to contribute to the world matters and means something, and give them the tools to kind of get to that edge. And I can't take everybody, exactly where they want to go, which is great about having, that group of knit of people where you could be like, you really want to focus in on this. That's not my thing, but I know somebody who could totally help you. And to be that kind of like source and space for foundation is very, very important for me.
Mm-hmm. And in the bigger picture, basically, is your goal to reach more people in, let's say like this, in depth, or is it more that you're getting more numbers and reach more numbers of people, or is it both on some level?
I would say it's both on some level. So you have to have the top of the funnel open wide, because the truth of the matter is our businesses need to grow. They need to flourish. They need money. We need people to come in and maybe just biting a little bit at that first, that first piece of bait or whatever, whether that's like, my 5x5 video series where they come in and watch some videos from me, or maybe they book a consultation or they try out some essential oils. But I would say ultimately for me, and what my main focus is for 2019 is to really build both. So that online and that offline space. So having opportunities for people to connect with me, maybe at the top of the funnel, more online. But I really love doing retreats. So bringing women to, 10 to 15 women in person to help dig deep a little bit more there. Every quarter we do the Warrior Cleanse, which is like a 30-day nutrition, 4-week cleanse and restore for the body. So that's usually like around 50 women. So that's a little bit more hands-on, but a mixture of both, because of my desire and what I believe is my purpose and my dream is to reach as many people as I can around the world and connect with them through workouts and seminars and things like that. I do want to be able to connect with people, all of those people online, but then also be able to go to the people in person. So I think it's a mixture of both, because I love being online. I love being on social media. I love the ability to work anywhere, but I also believe in my purpose and the gifts that I have to connect with people in person and one-on-one or in small groups and things like that. So online will be something that's more ongoing, always possible. And in person, maybe like every couple months, doing some retreats or focus groups where they're a mixture of online and offline. We're going to start something like that in Austria early March, where it's a mixture of in-person workouts, online workouts like using Zoom, seminars where people can watch from their home, but cooking classes where they can actually come and be in a place. So mixing both is great for me, but I also believe it's great for the consumer too, because we want to be in person and working with our coach too, but then we also have lives and, jobs and families and, things like that, where it's great to be able to connect in tribe and to be with your coach or other people as well in the offline space. So that way we can continue to stay connected, but disconnected, like live our lives, but still have our tribe, because as you get older and as you're adults, we know this too, like your groups of friends get smaller and the time spent with like maybe your significant other and your family is more of a higher priority, but needing to connect with other people and in other groups and to continue learning is something that we all need to do all the time. So I think providing a little bit of both is the key for me in my business and the way that I like to connect with people as well. I like being online. I love social media. I love telling the world what I'm doing all the time, which is why that I put my headphones in and talk to myself when I go on walks. But I also love meeting people in person, and talking and hugging and, feeling the energy between the person and being in the same room. And in the case of a retreat, like staying overnight with each other and being in the same house and creating this vessel where we feel safe and can share some things that are important to share, but that we don't always want to or need to share online. And so a mixture of both is a big goal for me in 2019, to find how both of them can work together, where the people can work with me online, but also offline periodically as well.
Yeah. And let's say it like this, you're also in the entrepreneurial field like I am, and how do you see the role or the responsibility of entrepreneurs these days? Because, it really changed in the last, let's say, 10, 15 years. It got so popular to be an entrepreneur, or to say that you're an entrepreneur, basically. But how do you see the real role of world leading entrepreneurs, and also how they co-create the world, because they have a lot of impact on it?
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're right. The entrepreneur lifestyle and word became super sexy. You know, people are like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur because then I can work from anywhere and I can work from home and nobody's my boss and I can, you know, do this. And that's hard. Like being an entrepreneur is hard. You know, it's so hard. I miss my team that I had, what I worked with every day at Runtastic. I miss, you know, there was somebody who was kind of like checking your work to make sure that things got done. Like you have a huge role as an entrepreneur just in your own business, because you have to play all of the rules, especially at the beginning. And you have to motivate yourself, and you have to create your to-do list, and you have to sometimes do the job of 4, 5, 6, maybe more different people, you know, coming at it from all ends if you're working on a particular project. So for me personally, creation, I can create all day. You could tell me, London, I need like, you know, a 5-part video series, record it today, and, you know, make this fitness, like I can create all of that, you know. Super simple, really excited, super energized. But then there's the marketing of it. Like there's the, you know, the planning, there's the setting deadlines, there's the email, like there's so much that goes into it. So I think that anybody who is looking to be an entrepreneur, it's an amazing experience. It tests all of your limits. But it's definitely not as sexy as everyone thinks that it is. Everyone thinks like, oh, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have to like, you know, you're making just tons of money all the time because there's nobody that's paying you. It's like everything that's coming in is just for you, and you're bouncing on your bed of money, and like, you know, you're just rich and all of these things. I think those are huge misconceptions of entrepreneurs, is that like you're making a ton of money right away, and that, yeah, you just don't, you don't have to work for anybody, and you don't, you know, nobody's relying on you, or you're just relying on yourself. But it goes back to the point. It's like when people are relying on you, you get things done a lot faster. And when you know that this person's waiting for this, you get things done a lot faster. So that's why I believe that having those jumps and those leaps of faith periodically throughout my life have not necessarily made this experience easier, because it's a challenge every single day, but I just know it's going to work out because it has in the past with all of the other leaps that I have done before. So I think it helps with like confidence in that it can work. But I think that we also, have a huge responsibility if we're jumping out and being these entrepreneurs and, you know, connecting with the world and sharing our information. I would say that everybody has something to share. Everybody has a story, has an experience that could be taught into a class. Like anybody and everybody can and can be an entrepreneur and can offer something to the world like that. But I think you have to take it really seriously if that's like your for sure passion, that's the direction that you want to go, because you have to do a lot of the things on your own as well. And also what I think is great about being an entrepreneur, which was a little bit hard for me at first, but is the ability to connect with other people that are doing it too. So you're not just a one-man show and then you just work and do everything by yourself and everything works out perfect. Maybe there's some people that have done it like that too, but you have to go out and you have to find that inspiration and you have to connect with other people, and you maybe do, you know, affiliates where they're promoting your stuff and you're promoting theirs, and you have to do that work to create that kind of tribe and team. You're not just by yourself. And I would say, like, don't plan on or stick with just being by yourself. So start to outsource. You have to start to outsource things, to ask for help, you know, periodically when you need it, or you realize you can't do everything and you get overwhelmed and things like that. So I think it's a huge responsibility to self to be an entrepreneur, because you have to really put like yourself on the line for a lot of these deadlines and a lot of these to-dos and a lot of this planning and a lot of these types of things. But it's also, you know, you're not just one entrepreneur in the world. There are a lot of people out there. So I think it's a huge responsibility to connect with the others that are doing that as well, and to get inspiration and to have learnings, and to also share your inspiration and your learnings and lend a helping hand when someone that needs it, so that in turn, if you need help, you can kind of do that too. So I don't know if I 100% answered your question, but I think that, you know, for those people out there who want to do their own thing, you totally can. You don't have to be, you know, a high expert. Like if you have a story to share and you're a mom who has found like significant success in this method of like teaching your child how to be potty trained or something, like there's a course and there's a teaching that has to be done with every lesson, every experience for anyone. So I wouldn't discount or discourage anybody from stepping out on their own, but I just would want to let them know, you're not just, raking in the cash right away. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort and energy. But if it's your passion and it's, what you feel like is really your purpose and what you plan to do moving forward, then you should, definitely go for it. But don't underestimate, your impact, not just on the people that you're working with, but on other entrepreneurs as well. I believe that's really, really important too, because you don't just want to be like just on the top and everything else is below you. You want to have, connection with other entrepreneurs and other people. And you meet so many great people and you can partner up and do cool things together. And the creativity part, like I said, is not the area that I'm lacking, but sometimes, putting that creativity into business mode can be a big challenge. So, I think that's what I have to say there.
Yeah. So you basically have to know what you're good at and you have to find the team around you.
Yes, exactly.
Build the other things.
For some people, they really, they outsource like right away, and that's cool. If you know someone who does something really well, cool. Like for me, like doing Facebook ads and marketing, that was something I outsourced right away because I just knew that wasn't an area that I ever wanted to do on my own. I want someone to help me, but there's a lot of things where I feel like, eventually I probably will outsource them, but I want to learn a little bit about them first. So I want to kind of do my due diligence in this space. So at least I know a little bit about it. So when bringing in that person to outsource or that other team to help out, I'm not in a meeting just kind of like I don't know what to say, like I want to at least have some ideas, some background knowledge. And so that's another thing with being an entrepreneur. It's kind of like you can jump into all the pools. You can do everything all by yourself. You can, put your toe in a little bit of these pools here and just kind of get an idea. But I think it's really, and it's important for scaling. And I'm learning this myself too, that you really have to, to outsource things and to ask for help and to find people who are better than you. And maybe you don't outsource forever, but you find someone who can really teach you and speed up that process of learning for you. So that's really, really important too. Super important.
Yeah. And is there anything that is really important to you that you want to still say to the people watching? Just something, maybe some that helped you along the way so far?
Yeah. I think that the biggest thing that's helped me the most is getting comfortable and acquainted frequently with change. So doing things differently from a small to a big scale, just for the sake of doing them differently. Because some people like freak out when their parking spot that they always park in is not there, or like they go to their favorite restaurant and they always order the same thing. And then that day that they're out of that thing. And when you see people react in that environment, sometimes you're just like, you know what I mean? Like change freaks people out from the smallest little thing, And so every day I ask myself, like, how can I do things a little bit differently? And that could be like, I don't know, going for a walk and going a different route than I normally do. And then you end up stumbling upon something super beautiful, or maybe a case of stairs or a building or something you've never seen before. Or like I told myself for 29 years that I was terrified of heights, that I was so afraid of heights. I just told myself this. It was like a story. I just never liked going on roller coasters when I was younger. My dad said when he would push me on the swing, I would get afraid. And so I just always said, oh, that must be because I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of heights. And so one of the things that I did is I signed up for and went skydiving, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm obviously not afraid of heights. It was just something different, but whether it's, a fear that you've always said you're afraid of and going out and just getting after it, or just every day saying, like maybe today it's not the end of the world if like Starbucks doesn't have my double twice hot mocha frappuccino with 2 like people are so obsessed with like their rituals and habits that when one thing changes, it's like bananas. So my note would just be like, get acquainted with, shake hands with change as often as you can. Identify those moments where you would be like, and the steam would come out of your head, and just like take the time to take a few deep breaths and say like, is this really a big deal? Can I react differently? Because as an entrepreneur and as life goes on, like there's always going to be things that like, jump out at us that like aren't what we expected. And if we stop acting like, oh my gosh, the world is over, I didn't expect this, and we just learn to know, okay, things are going to jump out at me and I'm going to be ready for them. I've done my training, I've got my things going, and when something comes at me, maybe I can react faster or, adjust my mindset a little bit. So as often and as much as possible as you can, and you can make a list of what that would look for you, or maybe you know, when this happens, I totally freak out. How can I, you know, think now? How can I change my reaction so that when this happens moving forward? I think with anything, you just have to get acquainted with doing things differently and change. A great example too is like my mom, I love her to death. She's amazing. But we went on a girls' trip to Venice Beach, and we rented an Airbnb house. And like my mom really loves when she has like her space and her bathroom and like her area. And we didn't have that because there were 4 or 5 girls. And she said she wanted to come, and we had one bathroom. And we were all sharing it, and it looked like she was like freaking, like I could just see it in her. And like, Mom, it's okay. It's not a big deal. We're here for 2 nights. Like you can shower where we're all showering. Like your suitcase can be here next to mine. Like you don't need a space to line up all your things. Like we're just, and that was so uncomfortable for her. But then afterwards, she's like, I think that was good for me. Like I was really like whatever, uncomfortable and nervous. So it's like, even those little things are like not even a big deal when you think about it. And you're like, she was freaked out about that. But it's like, it's cool and beautiful to see how other people can get antsy and uncomfortable and, when they might be so comfortable in their workspace and in their life and they might be killing it, but there's always that something that kind of tweaks people, even from a social media perspective, where you see like, oh, they look like they have the perfect life and everything's going great. And like the lighting is great and their outfit and their food is always color. Like, there's always things, no matter who that person is, that gets under their skin, that is frustrating and uncomfortable. And so I would just request and almost command that you guys just go out and just do things differently just for the sake of doing it, realizing it's not that big of a deal. So then when the big things come, you're kind of like, okay, I got it already. I've done, a few uncomfortable things already in the past, and I can do it because I've done it before.
Yeah. Okay, then if you just mentioned social media, basically.
Yeah.
How do you see that? Because, there's so much stuff going on. There's a lot of positive, really cool stuff going on. And on the other hand, there's also some really weird stuff going on. And people have a hard time sometimes to really see, okay, what's the truth behind things? Because nobody's life is perfect. Let's just say it like this. We all have days that we don't like ourselves so much, and then the next day is better. And you put yourself out there quite a lot in a very positive way, I would say. What would you say to the people that are actually having a hard time because they see the perfect life, they see the I don't know, the cars, the everything, and the food and the travel and holidays? Do you think that this really affects people in a negative way too, if they just really believe this stuff, that other people live this way all the time?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's like 2 halves here. So the first half I would say is like, you have to know that people just post their best stuff. We all do. We're not going to like take a selfie first thing in the morning and have like the crust in our eyes and like the pillow part, smashed to our face and like post, like that's just it. So people are always going to be posting their best stuff, whatever that is or looks like. Comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're going into that social media space, comparing, get out. Unfollow the people that are making you feel uncomfortable. Like that's this end here. So it's really, really challenging when the mindset of the person that's going into social media is looking to it to compare and say, I'm less than, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this, right? So that's really challenging. That's like a whole different can of worms, or like a training session that you would do for a person that's going in and comparing their life to what they see as these perfect things, on social media. Everyone's going to post their best stuff. There are things that exist like filters and Photoshop and like all these things that people can do to make this like the perfect picture, right? So you have to know that going into it. The next thing is like, once you're in it, follow people that inspire you. Don't follow the people that you feel like are making you feel less than, or don't follow the people that are posting things where you're like, oh, they have this perfect life and I don't have this, and da-da-da. Like, unfollow them. No one's forcing you to follow or be friends with anyone. So the people that I really follow are like, and some of them are like not even influencers. They're like people I've met on Instagram, and I'm like, oh my God, I love your outlook and your life. And maybe they have 20 followers and we just became friends, and I just, I want to see what they're doing and keep in contact with them. And so for me, I just know that like the people that I follow truly give me inspiration. I'm not looking at them and thinking like, oh, you know, they have nicer abs than this, or like this, you know, workout is better than my workouts that I post, you know. It's strictly for just like connecting with inspiration from people all over the world that you wouldn't normally be able to connect with. I also see it as a space where I'm connecting with my family because I live really far from them, and I love things like Instagram stories and whatever, where I can see my cousin with her 2 twin boys, like basically going throughout their day. And like, you know, my niece, my brother had a daughter, and they're posting a lot of stuff. So I think it's great, yeah, for connection and things like that. But you have to really, really know that people are posting their best stuff. You have to. It's just like when you come to work and you turn in a project, like maybe some people will turn in a half-assed project, but most people, like, you know, turn in like, okay, this is my work, here, giving it to this. This is my best picture, here, put it into the Instagram world. So just know that if you're going in looking for comparison, all your joy is going to be gone, your happiness. Like don't go into that for that space. For me personally, when it comes to sharing, let's say like a 360 view, I mean, I share where I am, what I'm doing, like 99% of the time. Yeah, whatever. But one thing I've learned that I personally don't do is like, I share failures with my audience. Like when something doesn't go right, or I'm having changes, or I'm working on something, I share that, but I share it after I've somehow kind of not gotten over it, but like gotten the thoughts and sorted them out together. And I feel like, okay, this is what happened. This is what I gathered from it. Here's what I think would be beneficial for people to know. I don't take people on like an emotional roller coaster with me. You know, I'm not waking up and like, oh, today's such a bad day. I had to do this, 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 and this, like, rah, 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 rah. Because I don't want to take my followers around for an emotional roller coaster. I don't think that serves them at all. And B, like, it makes me feel better when I know, okay, like today kind of is a shitty day, I'm going through this, but like think about the people that can benefit from your learnings, Lunden, and start to find those learnings, start to peel back those layers and figure out, okay, like what message from this situation can do this. So it was kind of like with the situation with my grandfather, we had a falling out because my boyfriend had tattoos, and it was this big situation. It was really emotionally traumatizing for me. I could have been on social media freaking out. All my family's on there. They would have seen, you know, but I realized, like, I don't think anyone would benefit from me like sharing all of that information over the next 3, 4, 5 months that it takes me to heal. Let me get over this. Let me learn from it. Let me figure out what's the best way to share this. And so I've shared it on different platforms with like people on my essential oils team when it comes to using oils for emotional uses, or when I feel like that story is fit. So I would say, like, if someone's looking at my Instagram account, maybe they sometimes would think, okay, yeah, this is like a perfect life, and she's, yeah, always happy and like whatever. So that is really, I will tell you from the bottom of my heart, it's like 95% of the time I really just wake up and I just love life. I get so excited that I can like learn new things, that there are new challenges, that there is going to be maybe some F words thrown around because I'm pissed and I'm passionate and like trying to find a way. There are days where I'm like, I have worked all day and got so much done and I never even changed for my pajamas. Like that happens too, and things like that. But I never want to, and I don't follow people like this either. I don't want to know what you're feeling every second of every day and be on like your emotional roller coaster. I want you to kind of like figure it out and then present it in a way where I'm like, okay, I've been through that. Here's what they learned. Great. And that's how I do with that moving forward. And I think, yeah, you know, we're in charge of what we consume. You know, if we let ourselves get, you know, jealous and feel bad and like point the finger, you know, at everybody else for their perfect situation and not somehow point the finger back at ourselves, it can get dirty and it can get messy and it can get uncomfortable. And in the darker end, you know, some people, you know, really, you know, take it seriously and take their lives because they think that, you know, that's like the darker end of it, because we're comparing so much to like what's going on. But I think you have to have a different series of lenses when you're looking at social media. You have to look at it responsibly. You have to know that by you picking up your phone and looking through this and scrolling and comparing or whatever, like that's your choice. And your perception of what their perfect life is your perception. So maybe you're looking at it and then they're on the sun posing next to a palm tree and you see them and they look perfect, but maybe in their head they're like super pissed and their boyfriend just broke up with them and their mom did this. Like, you don't know what they're thinking. So your perception of their perfect life is your perception and the way that you're looking at it. Yeah. And another thing that I would say too is like everybody's definition of happy is different. You know, for some people, they're at the top of the ladder, you know, in their job, making great money and, you know, traveling the world, doing business, but but they don't have a partner and they're not a parent, and that's what's really going to make them happy. So it's like, just because someone looks like they're having the perfect life, if that's not your idea of happy or like your idea of fulfillment, then you're not going to feel it. It's the same way why a celebrity, you know, you're like, oh my God, they have the perfect life. They're millionaires. They have this house, they have this plane, but now the next thing you know, they're in like rehab because they're depressed or have a problem with this. It's like everybody has, you know, their idea of what makes them happy. So you're just looking at the person on social media. Maybe being on the beach would make you happy. So now that they're on the beach, they're automatically happy. You know what I mean? So you have to like, we go into social media so numb. People wake up in the morning, the first thing that they do is grab their phone and open up social media. They do this before probably even like opening up both eyes. So you have to, if you're gonna consume social media and it's gonna make you feel not good and you're gonna feel like in that comparison trap, then you just need to consume social media more responsibly. You need to take control of yourself, and take care of yourself and take control of your time. And if it's, you know, monitor the time that you spend on social media, you know, audit the people that you're following. Do they really make you feel good? Like, who are you interacting with? You know, we're adults, we're grownups. We have to, you know, take responsibility for what we're consuming, you know, whether it's TV, social media, like anything, any media is just going to grow, you know, more and more and more. And now, you know, it's different. When I was younger and like obsessed with NSYNC, I had to go to like the market and buy like the magazines that came out every month with like the new posters. Now I can see exactly what they're doing right now if I wanted to, if they're choosing to post on Twitter or Instagram, you know? So we get that kind of instant gratification. Or for some people, it's like, I know people's lives are better than me. So then they go in automatically looking for that. You know what I mean? And I just ask, if that's you, stop, take a social media detox, like know that what everybody's posting is their best. But it could be the case, like I believe for myself, is like, I'm posting my best because I really want to give you my best. You know what I mean? I'm not like trying to, I don't know, somewhat make you feel jealous or uncomfortable or less than or whatever. But if someone is making you feel like that, whether it's their intention, most likely it's your perception, but if it's their intention, then just press the unfollow button and choose other people that make you feel better about yourselves and you're becoming and what you're doing. And yeah, you just have to, it's there, you know, we can't make it go away. I don't want to make it go away because I love it for so many reasons, but I can see how that can, you know, happen. And even for me too, it's been a kind of a little dance kind of balancing act too. Is like, as I'm stepping out again into the entrepreneurial world and, you know, seeing a lot of people who are really successful with their online fitness businesses. And it took me like until May, June, July, August, September, October, 5 months of kind of doing things on my own out of ego. And like, I can do it, to really step back and say like, Lunden, you need to hire a coach, someone that's going to help you, who's been there, done that, that can help guide you, you know, instead of looking around and being like, oh, they're you know, they're another New York Times bestselling author, or their program, you know, sold out again, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways to compare, but sometimes you can just use it as leverage and as motivation and talk to those people. You know, now that social media is great too, because you have that connection. Sometimes you can send people a message or a DM that you wouldn't normally be able to contact with or find their email or get in touch with otherwise. And so you can see it as a great platform to connect with people who are doing what you want to do. And instead of seeing it as like, oh, they're doing better, or they're more perfect or more beautiful or more this, like, oh, they really have something to offer and I want to learn from them. And that's great too.
Yeah, I think it's also important to see, for different people, success is a completely different thing. It's not everyone wants to be a billionaire or something like this. This is for one person, this might be the goal, but there is other stuff. Other people want to I don't know, get spiritually awakened for now, and then they do something else. Or, you know, it's so vast what people want, and it's not only one thing, and success is not only one thing, I think.
And that's why I think, like I said in the beginning, with kind of those 4 pillars of like working out, nutrition, but also giving to yourself and giving back to others, is because like everyone's looking this like all over the place for like, this is what success is, and this is what this person is, and I want this and I want that. But it's like, spend the time with yourself. What do you want? You know, what would make you the most happy? No matter what this person says or is or does or whatever. And if for you that's like, I just want to buy my house that has, you know, 1 bedroom, and like, it doesn't need to be like this grandiose mansion or like all these yachts or whatever, you know, it could really be like, this is what my dream is, and this is what my goal is, and this is what would make me feel successful and make me feel my most happy. And then, yeah, and that's why I say, like, spend more time in meditation, spend more time in prayer, spend more time journaling, spend more time in self, because we're often like ignoring the self for, like, you know, whether else is shiny and sparkly and distracting us with the other senses around us. And so, yeah, taking the time, I think that's a great, you know, great point too, is taking the time to really ask yourself, like, okay, yeah, they might be happy with this, this, and this, but if I had that, would that really make me happy? And maybe it initially would be like, yeah, more money and a house and all that would make me great, really happy. But then people get there and they're like, I should have thought about that a little bit more. You know, I should have really dug a little bit deeper to figure out what really, really, really would make me feel my best and feel happy and feel, like you said, successful. Because I think we automatically associate success with like money and things. But some people can feel super successful just knowing that every day they wake up and love themselves, you know, and love the way that they look and feel and look at, you know, at their family or their dog or whatever that makes them like, this is success for me. Like, I wake up every morning feeling super happy. I have all the things that I need, and maybe a little bit of what I would want to, or maybe what I want and need now is the same thing, which I think is really beautiful too. But yeah, just finding what success is for you and taking that time and finding your why, and don't just jump after something just because it's the latest and greatest fad or trend, or the Kardashians said that you should do it, you know, like, do it because you really believe that if this came, you would feel more equipped as yourself, and also to give your gifts to the world.
So you also, I mean, my opinion is that basically if people come back more to themselves again, to really see what they want, what their needs really are, and not what anyone tells them that their needs are, I think over the long run, this would make them much happier.
Totally. Because
Yeah.
people think, you know, this will make me happy just because that's what they're bombarded with. You know, we're not ever bombarded with self. We have to choose, like, you know, we're bombarded with other things, like literally things and images and pictures and all of these things. Like, we're not, unless we choose to come to self, we can, you know, so many people push things down and, you know, suppress emotions, feelings, whatever, all these things. And then they wonder why they're not happy, or they're going after something that when they get it, they're kind of like, oh, then that didn't taste as good as I thought. Well,
Yeah.
you didn't take the time to, you know, put in the work. And sometimes the work is just being and thinking and, you know, overcoming and letting the wheels turn and letting everything dance up here. So that way you can find what that looks like and is for you. And that's why you find, yeah, some of the most happy people that I've come in contact with, and I know that's not for everybody, but are like, especially recently, which is kind of the direction I've been going to, are the people that like don't really have much, you know, they're just living a minimalist lifestyle, like doing their thing, getting out in nature, connecting with other people, doing the job that makes them feel most fulfilled and most, you know, great. But it's not, I haven't really, me personally, felt such an emotional, powerful connection or whatever with the people who are, you know, driving the fancy schmancy car and have all this stuff and have a, you know, a calendar that's 14, 15, 16 hours per day. And all, like, I've just found a lot of the people that I've been drawn to most in terms of like, their happiness feels so good to me, are the ones, you know, the people that I've met in Costa Rica or even in Austria too, who are just like, and in the States as well, but I'm not here so often, who have just found peace with like wanting what they need and needing what they want, and just, yeah, going after life as, you know, every day is a different adventure and exciting. And I think a lot of people too, who have found the big success and the money and whatever, they're kind of coming back to that spot too, where they're kind of like, okay, I had that, but in the end, spending time with self and figuring out what I need every single day, maybe every hour, you know, every few hours, coming back and releasing and figuring out what's next, is success for me, is success. I don't want to run through, you know, like Speedy Gonzalez, super fast through everything. I really find that slowing down and yeah, looking in is hugely powerful. Really hard, really, really hard. It's much easier for people to cross off a bunch of things off their to-do list and run around like a crazy person with like a chicken with their head cut off, we say in English, just like, it's much harder to come down and to check off the, you know, the self checklist of like, okay, connecting with breath, connecting with spirit, connecting with my mind. What's next? What do I want to do moving forward? And slowing down is a lot harder than speeding up, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, do you have any more questions for our listeners or our viewers?
Questions.
Do you want to ask them anything? Maybe you want an input, or you want, I don't know, something that you're interested in.
Oh, cool. I wasn't prepared for this one. Let's see. No big deal. I'm trying to think of what I would want, Yeah, I mean, I would ask, because I think this is something I do at least once a week, is like, what would okay, so we say that people often look on social media or different things of like what would make them happy or feel the best, but I would encourage people to like let us know, like, what if in your happy of most fulfilled, successful life, like what would that look like for you? And after doing that, is that somehow, open your eyes to like what you've maybe been after or attracted to almost like instantly without even thinking, kind of on autopilot? Is this what would really, really make you happy? Genuinely, what's also sitting in this basket over here? If it is, cool, great. But I would love to know just, what is, in a couple sentences, would make you feel the most happy or most successful in your life. I think that information is always great, because like I said, I like to meet my clients really where they are. I don't want to come in and say like, this is what you should do. I want people to come in and have done maybe a little bit of reflection of like, yeah, I've tried this, it didn't really work, I'm thinking about this. So I would love to know in a few sentences what would really spell out happiness and success, and like for you, in terms of feelings. And I mean, I would say in terms of anything. I wouldn't want to give a specific parameter, but I would love to know that. I think that would be really, really great. And I think a lot of people would see some crossover in terms of what they would want to feel happy and feel successful.
Yeah, cool, Lunden. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
if people want to contact you, I'm just going to put your, I don't know, the website or email or Instagram or whatever you want below the link.
Totally.
And then thank you very much for your time, and I hope we see you in person one day.
Thank you. Yes, we definitely will. When I come back to Europe in early February, we'll make a plan to get together for sure.
Would be cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.